Awesome startups again today that'll be presenting. I want to give shout outs for our sponsors. I'm not going to read all of these again, you can see it, but we're going to give a special shout out to two of these each week. So NC Idea, thanks to them for sponsoring this, and Benji, one of our presenters today, just went through their program. Incredible program, it's made a big difference for his business. And then Muddy Dog Coffee, thanks for all the caffeine and all the coffee this week. But we're going to bring up Zogo Finance to start. Pretty awesome program who just got funded actually by David Gardner and Co-Founders Capital. So excited to hear his presentation.
Yeah, I was going to say just a couple of things here. Thank you very much. Bolun, I don't know if you were a bit of a guinea pig, but it worked out very well for you, didn't it? So Startup Summit, for those of you who did not or were not able to attend, had a new format this year and was from all I've heard, was a very successful event. They had a mini Shark Tank, and Bolun and his colleagues were the winners from that. So it was very exciting for him and a great start. He's got a beta site going, and hopefully we'll begin to sign up others after this presentation. So Bolun Li, welcome.
Find the right one.
Top left.
And I would ask maybe if you could stand on the other side.
No, we have it on the right side now.
You good?
Yeah.
It's all good?
Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be here and very excited to introduce you guys to Zogo Finance. And today we're going to be talking about parents and teenagers. Before we start, I just want to get a show of hands. How many people here are parents with teenagers? Wow, perfect. Okay, you guys will be very interested in this. So as a teenager myself, the problem I found is that, first of all, parents really have no structured way of teaching teenagers about finance. Usually whenever the kids ask for money, parents just give it to them, and that's really, really bad for teenagers to form their financial habits. And for teenagers, we just have no self-control when it comes to spending. For myself too, when I was in high school, it was an absolute mess. And there are very few tools out there that can actually help us learn those skills at this critical age. And that's why my team and I are building a mobile banking app that is targeted towards teenagers 13 to 18 years old. It's backed by the latest behavioral economic science developed at Duke by Dan Ariely, and it's made for families. It creates convenience for parents, and it provides education to teenagers. So here's a solution for parents. First of all, they can know where the kids are spending the money. It's the most important thing. But aside from that, they can actually learn why the teenagers are spending those money with our very unique approach. They can know how teenagers feel about those purchases, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Second thing parents can do is assign tasks and chores to teenagers. And after kids complete those tasks and chores, parents can actually put their ratings, an emoji ratings, frowny face, happy face, neutral face, on each task. And that performance and that ratings will in turn influence the Zogo credit score of the teenagers in the app. And that Zogo credit score will determine how much allowances your kids are going to get at the end of the week from you. And the last is the ultimate allowance. Like I said, in the app, the allowance is actually renamed to Zogo Paycheck to give teenagers that experience of regularly getting paycheck and then managing their money. It creates this learning cycles for teenagers so they can make mistakes in a very safe environments and learn from those mistakes. And on teenager side, we have some really cool features. First one is called reflection. Imagine this: one day your teenagers go into the app, and the app asks him, 2 weeks ago, you spent $10 on McDonald's at 1 a.m. How do you feel about that purchase today? Do you regret it? Are you happy about it? It will ask them, would you rather spend $10 on dinner, or would you rather spend $10 on a movie with friends? Would you rather spend $15 at Target or $15 at Walmart? Would you rather spend money on 10 Uber rides or an Xbox? Some certain things like that to get them thinking about where they're spending the money, the opportunity costs, and also become mindful of their future spending. Second thing is we are embedding some, the so-called boring financial education content into the app, because certain things they just can't learn through their daily interaction with money, like how does insurance work, what is a credit score, and we're embedding them as a way to boost their credit score, so they have an actual incentive to read those content. And lastly, it's a really cool feature, saving and borrowing. Saving is where teenagers can save a portion of their paycheck, and the interest rate is actually set by parents. So parents can really teach teenagers the value of compounded interest. And borrowing is basically teenagers, if they don't have money for a $300 Xbox, they can take a loan from their parents and set up a repayment plan to pay with their future paychecks. It teaches them what is a loan, how this credit card works, and tell them how this interest affects their daily life. So how do we make all of this happen? We have two very strong technology partners. One is Plaid, one is Douala. For Plaid, we allow parents and teenagers to link any bank accounts you have, whatever bank you're with, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. You can link them, and then we can pull transaction from the teenager's account. That's where we do all the fun stuff with reflection and stuff. And for Douala, it facilitates ACH transfer between parents' account to teenager's account. It can automate the process of allowance, and because of a very unique partnership between Plaid and Douala, none of the sensitive banking information actually stored on our server. So we're completely, we don't have to worry about PCI compliant at all, which saves a lot of costs for us. I'm just gonna skip this and go to this slide. Our growth strategy is we're gonna start with piloting this program with local schools in Durham and also in the Triangle area. We have already started a pilot with Durham Academy with around 30 families, and they absolutely love it so far. So from there, we're gonna go to nonprofits such as American Saves, Jumpstart, Constellations, and American Saves has promised to give us 20,000 users in December to test out certain features in the app. And they're an organization completely supporting low-income family students. So we're really excited about that partnership as well. And moving up, we'll be partnering with some education agencies to provide this to even more teenagers in the United States. And at the end, we really hope to white label our technology to banks and credit unions and insurance companies to provide this as a service attached to the teen debit card they offer, to really bring financial literacy to the ecosystem of the financial world. So we do have two competitors. We have Current and Greenlight. Both of them are actually issuing their own card, their own debit card. So parents have to go online, order them. It takes like 10 days to ship to their house. And the entire onboarding process is just really tedious. And for us, we support all the banks. Whatever bank account you already have, you do not have to order a different card. Just link your existing bank account, and everything is taken care of by us. And because of this very flexible and smart technology structure, we're extremely bank friendly. Unlike our competitors, they're trying to compete with banks. We're actually trying to help banks engage the next generation of customers. Secondly is the science and education we embed into this app. We've been working with Dan Ariely. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of him, but he's a great professor in behavioral economics, and he's really helping us to put in certain tricks inside the app that will nudge teenagers to become a better spender, better savers. However, for our competitors, they're focusing more on parental controls and punitive control. Parents can block transactions, set limits. Those are the two main things they're selling. And we really don't think that's the right way to teach teenagers. As a teenager myself, I know how much I hate when parents do that to me. So I think this is a much better and much more effective way of teaching teenagers. Our team is based at Duke. Last month we also formed a partnership with a software company in Chapel Hill, extensive experience in app development. So they will ensure the security and also the quality of the app. Supporting organization, we have Dan Ariely's lab, Center of Advanced Hindsight, and Duke I&E Center. All right, thank you guys very much. This is all I have for today. Hope we can reimagine teenage finance together. Thanks.
All right, so we're going to ask you, since we're on the bridge and the audio is a little wonky, if you have questions, just stand up if you would, so each side can hear the other. Please.
Yeah, hi. Thanks. Great presentation. Really, it's impressive. You did this in how long?
About 8 months.
Yeah, really good. Can you talk a little bit more about the behavioral aspect that you mentioned from the guy from Duke?
Yeah,
how that works?
Sure. So do you mean how do we partner with them?
No, how does it work in the app?
How does it work in the app? For example, the reflection is one piece, right? Dan already says we shouldn't be thinking about money as just a price or just a money tag. We should be thinking about it in correlation with happiness. So everything we do is we're trying to utility maximization, right? And that's why we have the reflection features to help teenagers recognize what kind of spending actually make them happy. Other things in the app, for example, we have the credit score aspect. There are certain design in the app that will trigger teenagers to make learning financial content a habit in their life. And since it's a weekly learning cycles, that will get them to keep going, and every week learning more and upgrading. So it's really a mix of different feedbacks from Denner Ali that we put into the app that makes the app really sticky and also very educational at the same time. That makes sense.
What did you learn from the Startup Summit, and what has changed since that event, of the feedback you got from the Sharks?
Yeah, so nothing has really changed, and and I think the feedback that Sharks give, for example, making it stickier to parents is really important. We are going to discuss actually this afternoon with the team how we can make it, because parents are busy. How can we make it easy for parents to to monitor their kids' progress instead of having to invest a bunch of time into an app like this? I think most of the parents would just like to have their kids start using something like this and then have everything taken care of by the app and not doing too much. So we're going to talk about, I think that's one really good feedback from the Shark. Other than that, our strategy stays the same. We're still shooting for pilot program with schools at first and then slowly going to white label the technology.
How do you make money?
Yeah, so at the end, it will be kind of getting the licensing fee from banks and credit unions. But at the beginning, we're really trying to just perfect the products. And that's why we're partnering with school. We're not charging anything. There's no monetary gains for us whatsoever. We really just want to make sure kids love this. This actually changed their behavior, and parents love this and perfect the product before everything.
Have you looked into intellectual property? Do you have any patents on any of this?
We don't have any currently, but we're talking to lawyers about that.
Have you considered the taking your lunch money aspect? You know, like getting a cut of the allowance? Or selling parents access, like free to the students, and then the interaction from the parents, like this to be pay subscription.
I mean, ultimately, I really don't want parents and teenagers to be paying for this. I want the banks and financial institutions to be paying for this. I want this to be a tool that's available to parents and teenagers once they turn 13. So I haven't thought about that, but if we end up going B2C, like completely going to consumers, that could be a possible strategy, but I really hope that we could establish some relationship with banks.
Why not any younger? My daughter just took her $14 to the fair and spent it.
See, we're going to expand to younger, but right now because of COPA law, which forbid us to collect any information on teenagers younger than 13, the testing periods is better to do it 13 and 18 so we can actually learn how teenagers are behaving inside the app so we can improve it. But after that, it can be available for anyone, basically. It's just a COPA law that makes us want to focus on this market right now.
I think it's a wonderful idea. Carey Academy kids need it.
Thanks.
So we usually have you have an ask for the audience. You have a lot of very smart, well-connected people in here. So what could we do for you as a community? What are you looking for right now in your business?
Yeah, so we're looking for any referrals to local schools or any referrals to local organizations that have a focus on financial education, or education in general, like YMCA or organizations. We're really looking to partner with as many like nonprofits and kind of educational organizations as possible. Like I said, we don't care about the making money in the short run. We just want to perfect the product, making sure it's so much better than what our competitors are doing with this punitive control. I really don't think that's going to work. So anything in that aspect would be really helpful. And also any connections to financial institutions would be also really, really appreciated.
Let's jump over here, maybe.
You mentioned,
Oh, sorry.
All right, hold on.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
Okay.
We'll come over, I guess.
We'll get back.
He stood up first.
He's been waiting.
Go
You
ahead.
gotta stand up.
Okay,
Go for it.
so obviously the consumer banking industry's been around for a pretty good while. This problem that you're describing is not new. The banking industry's response has been to offer different credit ratings, different products and different services, not to create educational programs. Given recent history with some banks where they've committed enterprise fraud, they've done all sorts of things, why do you think they will change their perspective and white label this technology to educate consumers to put them in a better position when they've made a lot of money from subprime lending?
So that's a really, really good question. And believe it or not, financial wellness just in this past year, not even like in the past couple, just in this past year has become such a hot topic for banks, because they start to realize that they can't keep cheating on consumer anymore, and especially for younger consumer. Younger consumers are starting to go to like companies like Venmo's, PayPal's, more fintech companies. They don't bank with consumer bank anymore. So we've actually, Wells Fargo and BB&T, we didn't even reach out. They reached out to us after finding us somewhere, I guess, on the internet, want us to pitch to them. So there are definitely banks' interest in something. I think they're interested because of a couple of things. One, it helps them engage teenagers onto their platform. Right now, teenagers spend about like, I would say 20 seconds on their mobile banking app max per month, because they just simply don't care that much. There's so many other tools out there that they don't have to go onto the Wells Fargo mobile banking app. Second of, we can dramatically help them increase the screen time of teenagers on the app. Second of all, this is good PR for them. This is improving the community, improving their brand image, and I think banks really need that. Banks like Wells Fargo, like you said, especially, they really need something like this. So like in conclusion, I think consumer banks are starting to realize that financial education is extremely important, and it can get teenagers excited. Not get teenagers, get teenagers. It will be beneficial for teenagers and beneficial to their organization.
You mentioned on the reflective learning, that's built in, but clearly it's looking at some of the buying patterns in order to trigger some of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Do the parents have access to the same buying patterns so that they could, on their own, ask some of the reflexive questions? Like, for instance, if somebody was really into healthy eating, for instance, they might hit the McDonald's angle from a standpoint of not so much from the savings, but was that a good thing, as opposed to eating somewhere else? And I'm not taking a dip shot at McDonald's, but you can't build in all of that variety. Do you provide that buying history to the parents so that they can?
Exactly. It's a very complex algorithm we're building.
Right.
And that's the thing that we're going to be trying to patent. It's a really complex algorithm that taking into consideration, first of all, parents' opinions on teenagers' spending. Second of all, teenagers' own preference on their spending. And third of all, teenagers' saving history. Just taking into account a lot of the financial information of teenagers to come up with that selection. And it's a really, there's no one out there doing that, so getting it right is difficult. But we're in the so this company QuantWorks, they're specialized in data analytics, so they're really good with like the stuff you were talking about. So we're confident that we are onto something, and we're building this algorithm that will
Also,
eventually work.
is this on Android as well as iOS?
Right now it's only on iOS, but it will be on Android very soon.
Okay, Michael and then Carol will come up.
Two questions. One, is this technology only good for non-cash purchases, I'm guessing? Is that the case at this point?
Yes.
Okay, and then
But there's a
second-
way for parents or teenagers to log their cash purchases onto the app. So if they spend cash, for example, they can log it up if they want.
They can?
Yeah.
Okay. And the second thing would be, I understand your intention is about making the world a better place. It strikes me that you're going to be collecting a lot of data, though, that could be used for evil. And so I wonder what kind of mechanisms you're going to put in place to protect that data and to keep it from being used by Wells Fargo, who's been a terribly bad actor in the public finance arena.
Definitely.
From using it in ways that we would maybe not want.
Definitely. So, first of all, we would not share any data with financial institutions when we partner with them. Second of all, we are partnering with a third-party cloud agencies. They have bank levels, so we don't need the bank's data protection service. So we have this third-party cloud service that protects the user's data. And third of all, it's really just Quantworks have done an extremely good amount of work in security, cryptographies, and data protection in general. So they're putting in place a system inside the app where there's a way to kind of randomize the variables, so you cannot identify each user to each user. So we're doing that as well to make sure that even the worst come to worst, there's a data breach. The bad actor will not be able to get anything out of it.
Well, I would say worst comes to worst is you sell this to Wells Fargo down the road.
Our corp's never sold all their private data.
Well, I'm just saying, much more likely than, at some point you may be very successful and you may have a lot of data, and that might be the reason why people would be interested in buying your company.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That data comes with it. Right?
Is he the next Zuckerberg? That's the question.
I think we had a question over here.
Hi, quick question. You build your platform where on SaaS, your platform is built on SaaS, or what are you doing? Because I noticed there was SaaS right there.
Yeah, no, right now it's just iOS, but yeah, it's just mobile front end, back end app. But I understand because we're eventually going to do B2B. But how that's going to work usually is when we talk to a certain bank, we'll be connecting to their backbone, their backend. And we don't really need to use any of that SaaS software.
Okay, I have a question. I write algorithm. I understand all that.
Carol, can you speak up a little bit? We can't hear you very well.
I'm sorry. I write algorithm like you do and all that stuff. And what I'm trying to understand your company right now, we've been having issues. These are kids. You know what I'm saying? You're collecting data and all that stuff. You're telling us it's protected. How are you going to survive a company? You know what I'm saying? If you run a company without making any money. These are kids. And that data can be in the long run and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I know you're trying to get kids get involved in this stuff. What protection do you have? Do you have blockchain in that thing, in that software? That's what I want to know. Do you have that?
Blockchain? No,
yeah, blockchain to peer-to-peer. That I have my own. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, I have my own right to where my data is going for my kid. You know what I'm saying? So that we can monitor his parents. Did you implement that in there? Because the most important thing you have issue here is you're collecting data. You know what I'm saying? I know you want to build all these teenagers' data and all that stuff and build it up. In the long run, obvious, if BB&T, whatever, Wells Fargo, obvious they'll have access to that and everything. Are you protecting? Have you implemented blockchain in that? Because I would recommend to have that in there.
Okay, I will look into that, definitely. But right now we don't have any blockchain technology.
Yeah, because we have to protect our kids, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then the other thing, digital currency. These young kids are into digital currency, you know what I'm saying? They understand about, maybe might not take it serious, but this freeborn now, they're going to cryptocurrency. I would recommend you to maybe, because I want to give cryptocurrency like some Bitcoin to my nephew, and you know what I'm saying? And we might want to implement that to your software. That would very help us, because that's what some of us were into cryptocurrency too. That would be great if you can implement that platform in there.
Okay, yeah, definitely. We do have education content on cryptocurrency, but it's not supporting cryptocurrency at the moment. And my personal view on cryptocurrency is pretty bearish. but yeah, we would definitely consider that.
Jim, what you guys stand?
Okay. Thanks for that presentation. Really liked it. I'm kind of curious from an operational perspective. What's it like working with Quantworks? So you've basically subbed out your technology development. And how do you pay them?
So it's a very strategic partnership. There's actually no cash involved. They're in the company as an investor. So our interests are aligned. So that was a really good really lucky for us to have QuantWorks support on something like this, because they work with tons of data from big corporations, and their specialty is really data protection, data kind of how to use that data to analyze and get results. So we're really lucky to have them on board.
Did you have a relationship with them initially? How did that come about?
Yeah, actually no relationship. They're Duke alum. I'm Duke students,
Okay.
and so we got connected at first, but and they had us go over their pitch a couple times. Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, we thank you because unfortunately time is up.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, while we get the presentations switched out.